Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome back to Power Up Gamers. This video's gonna be a bit different. I have a special guest with me, the Now, and we're going to be discussing World of Warcraft. So, I'll give my guest a chance to introduce himself and plug his channel.
Hello, greetings, programs. This is the One Wow. I'm very new to all this. I've never done any live streaming, and I've never done any YouTube videos except for what I've recently posted. The One Wow is my channel. It's mostly World of Warcraft information and things that I come across, with a small amount of Hearthstone things thrown in here and there, and anything else that I come up with that sounds like it might be good.
Awesome. I'm kind of curious, haven't played a WoW for quite some time, and knowing it's pretty big, millions of people all over the world play it. What do you think is the main reason it's captivated so much attention within gamers and people?
Well, to be honest, I think it was the right thing at the right time when it first came out. The first few years, nothing had really been on the scene that was quite as powerful as World of Warcraft when it first hit vanilla. And that and BC together, both of those, that original and that second expansion, really helped create the entire player base. And then on through to Wrath of the Lich King, it was got to its peak. I think up around 12 or 13 million subscribers at that point, active subscribers. And by that time, by the time Wrath of the Lich King had run its course and was still at the top, even on into the Shattering just before Cataclysm comes out, so many people had been invested with this game for already several years by this point. So after the Shattering, and that's really when stuff started to kind of go bad, and into Cataclysm is when the decline in subs first took place. By that time, there had been so many years already played into the game and beyond, all the way through, all to the new expansions here. People have, I think, too much time invested into the game to walk away, to allow any other MMORPG or any other game for that matter to take a precedent in their life, so to speak, over World of Warcraft. You know, everything comes in and pulls people away for a little bit. Nothing has ever killed WoW, and I don't think anything ever will kill WoW. The only thing WoW does is sleep sometimes.
Yeah. I definitely think you're on the right track. I know a lot of people kind of proclaim WoW, as it's commonly called, as kind of the father of MMOs, but it definitely wasn't the first one.
No, there was plenty before them. I just think they did it best when they came out, and it was the perfect hook, and everybody loved it, and they just wanted more and more and more. And I'm still happy with WoW. I am not one of the people that wish for the old days, although Wrath of the Lich King was probably my favorite expansion. And I hear a lot of rumor that people are kind of viewing Legion kind of as Wrath of the Lich King 2.0. And I'm all down for that. That is for sure. But it'll be yet to be seen, I guess. But I'm definitely not one of the people who wish for the old days. I'm okay with WoW the way it is now. I don't have any problems with it. So I'm not going anywhere.
I think one of the biggest things they did right at the time that they came out was they used basically state-of-the-art graphics for that time period.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
very much kept up on that. Now, different expansions and different story is is are my personal favorites. I quit playing quite a bit, not too long after Cataclysm hit, and only recently got back into it. And still to this day, my favorites, pretty much all the content up to Cataclysm.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when certainly the noticeable decline first began. Yeah, a lot of old school gamers from it were not happy with the way it looked and the way it felt. And again, for me though, it was my first brand new expansion because I didn't get into World of Warcraft until Wrath of the Lich King, and so for me this was the newest, best, coolest thing. Supposedly, this is the next escapade in my awesome gaming that I'm all of a sudden enjoying so much. So it wasn't as bad for me,
Speaking of which, this would be a good time to kind of tell the story of how you got involved with WoW.
Well, how I got involved, it's actually not a very long story. It's really pretty simple. Jarin and I used to be roommates many years ago, and I remember I came home from work one night, and we had like a computer station downstairs where the kitchen dining room should have been, but we turned it into a computer station. And I came home from work, and Jarin was at the computer, and he was playing some video game. And so I came in, I came in and I said something to him, and he was gone. He did not hear me. I don't even think he knew that I had walked in. So I pulled up a chair and I sat down to see what had captivated him so much. And I'm watching him play, and within maybe 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, what is this game? This is amazing. What are you playing? And he's like, oh, this is World of Warcraft. I got a 10-day free trial. You want to try it? And I said, sure. And boy, it was hard as hell for him to get me off of his 10-day free trial after that, because I tell you what, I took that and I never looked back. In fact, I was...
It was a constant struggle between...
Oh, yeah. All the time. At that point, Jarin and I were pretty heavily into Magic the Gathering, and I liked World of Warcraft so much that I completely phased Magic out of my life and dedicated all my time to World of Warcraft. I do miss Magic, and it was very nice the last couple years when Blizzard came out with Hearthstone, which is kind of like a surrogate Magic for me. And so I do play Hearthstone too. So
I do enjoy Hearthstone, especially with my busy schedule between making videos for my channel, DMing, in tabletop RPG sessions, etc. Yeah. It's really nice to have a game that I enjoy, that I can go play 5 or 10 minutes and be done.
Yes, and I am impressed actually by your willpower to only play for 5 or 10 minutes, because sometimes, man, I sit down to just do a little bit, and I look at the clock, and it's, geez, 3 hours later, what is going on,
That's one of the things I really have to watch when I'm getting involved with playing WoW or Star Republic, one of these other MMOs, because they are so time consuming.
They are absolutely time consuming. Not just that, but they're also financially consuming. For people like you and me who have... What's that?
Well, some of them. There are free MMOs.
Well, that's what I just... Well, I mean, not just MMORPGs, but like the new Overwatch is the new game that's like, I think that comes out today actually, and a lot of people were talking about it in trade chat in World of Warcraft, and you know, again, it's just another game that is going to come and it's going to put WoW to sleep for a couple weeks, and then everybody will come back after they're done beating it because I hear it's not very long. But you know, that's just how they do things sometimes, I guess.
I think that is also one of the reasons WoW has continued to go strong is the fact they come out with expansions every year. And these expansions aren't just a little patch. These are basically
like it's
a
completely
brand new game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they keep innovating. They keep people interested. I mean, if they hadn't came out with a new expansion in 3 years, they would have a fraction of the subs, of the active subs that they do now. And it's because that they keep feeding us, you know, I guess from beginning of here's the first teaser to opening day, about 18 months, every 18 months they're just every boom, 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 you know, and that keeps us, you know, ready and waiting, you know. We were talking about the new expansion, a couple months into Warlords of Draenor, and I'm just like, boy, we can't wait for the new stuff.
Exactly.
So, and now I'm just sitting here every day is just like a snooze fest. I'm just waiting. Come on, Legion. Come on, Legion. Let's go. Yeah. So
that tends to happen when you get towards end game of anything, and you tend to wait to see what they come out with next, and if they don't do it soon enough, you're done.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I'm pretty excited about is the Warcraft movie coming out.
Yes. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
One of my favorite things, and I have always wished WoW itself was done differently, was the cutscenes and the graphics were so awesome that I wished the entire game was like that.
Right. And now you're kind of going to get that sort of for a few hours. Like one giant long cutscene. Yeah, totally. I'm excited for it. I've got two different sides of the spectrum, though. I am one of the kind of people in World of Warcraft that does not pay any attention at all to lore. I have no interest in the World of Warcraft lore or anything at all. And I'm horrible. Like if you were like, you name off a few people, I would not be able to tell you who they were in the storyline because I pay that little attention to it. I love the game. I don't like the lore. On the other hand, I love...
Can you at least name the Lich King's name?
Arthas?
Yes.
Okay, see, and I was you see how I put a question mark on it because I wasn't even sure. I was like, I think it's Arthas.
Total lost cause.
Right. There's hope for me yet. The movie, though, because I love World of Warcraft so much, I am absolutely going to go see the movie. And if the movie is a good story, I mean, obviously, I'm going to be even more into it because even though I don't know any of the lore, I am going to recognize a ton of stuff in this movie. A ton of things are going to be happening throughout this movie that, oh my God, I've done that, or I've been there. And so that connection alone is probably going to make me really, really enjoy the movie. So I'm definitely going to go see it. I'm going to see it in 3D if I can. And yeah, I'll probably see the sequels too. But yes, I am not that into lore though. So
now, one thing I think they are really smart with doing the movie is it's going to bring in new people.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know if you heard this. You know what I heard? I heard that they're giving away a free trial for the game with movie tickets.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
I totally heard that, and I thought that was a crazy good idea. I mean, that's gonna imagine, yeah, it will possibly influx a lot of people into the game, at least to try it. So
now, the one drawback to that I've always hated is the cost.
Yes.
It is not cheap when you're talking anywhere from 30 to 60 bucks for an expansion every year, and then 15 bucks a month subscription fee.
Yep, and again, there's if you're lucky enough to be able to spend a lot of time on WoW, you'll be able to make yourself financially secured enough in gold, hopefully, to buy WoW tokens and pay for your game time that way.
And that's still something that's new to me, because when I was really involved with it, they didn't even have these WoW tokens.
Totally. What I've noticed, when they first came out, they were about 15,000 gold each, and for 15,000 gold, you got 30 days game time. The last time I checked was within the last 2 weeks for sure. They were up around 47,000 gold each, and like for me, I've got 3 accounts, so we're talking upwards of 150,000 gold I'm going to be needing to figure out how to get each month to keep all 3 of my accounts running. With 3 accounts, though, obviously, I've got a good base of operation built up for generating gold, which, by the way, I highlight in many of my videos on my channel. So, yeah.
So, given that there's probably going to be an influx of new players who have never played or have just dabbled with like the free trials, what would you suggest as perhaps the easiest class and ways to level or kind of get a feeling for the game?
I tell you what, I'm probably going to surprise you by not choosing Mage. Mage absolutely is my favorite class in WoW, and I absolutely love it, and I will always be Mage as number 1.
It definitely isn't the easiest, though.
I promise it's easy. Everybody complains about how simple 1 or 2 buttons, yeah, real hard. It is a little more difficult than that, but it's my favorite class. But to be honest, if I was going to invite somebody in to play the game and I wanted them to have the best experience, the best ease of access, what I feel is the easiest class to run and survive with, I'm going to say Hunter. I really, really believe that Hunter would be the best ideal class. Hunters always are OP. So when you first get into WoW, usually it's a one-on-one experience, you against the game. So for PvE, Hunters are they're going to kill whatever is in their level range quickly and easily. And I think that secondary, I'd probably choose Mage.
I would
yeah.
I would add on to that, not just in PvE, but they do really good in PvP too.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they absolutely are OP everywhere. I was just referring to brand new players coming into the game. Like for me, oh man, it was at least 18 months to 2 years before I ever even set foot onto a battleground. Yeah. So it was a long time.
It was a while for me.
I also remember, this is a funny memory I have, my very first dungeon queue ever. My very first one. I queued for a dungeon. I waited. My queued pop. I went into the dungeon, and I was so scared and nervous that I left the group. No kidding, dude. My very first one. I was so scared and nervous. I just left. Oh my God!
I remember those days.
It's funny now when I look back.
It really helped that I make friends pretty easily.
True.
And got into a good guild and had someone to show me the ropes. So by the time you came along, I kind of knew the ropes.
Yeah.
The
See, yeah,
biggest
you brought
problem
me
was,
into WoW. You
yeah,
brought me in, and then you went off and did all this other stuff, and I stayed the whole time, and now you're coming back to WoW, and so I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
yeah,
I got a garrison built up.
yeah, yeah, it's been an interesting experience on WoW and taking breaks from WoW. A lot of times my breaks weren't necessarily by choice because of friends, but now that seems to be less of an issue.
Yep.
So now, one class I would say besides Hunter would be a Paladin.
Ooh. Paladin was my favorite class initially. That was one of my first tombs. It was my favorite class, my first favorite class.
Yeah,
And I really enjoyed playing them. And of course, remember, I started in Wrath of the Lich King. And if any of you remember, Paladin in Wrath of the Lich King was very, very strong,
yeah,
very powerful. In Cataclysm, as soon as Cataclysm came out, I felt like they ruined Paladin enough to where I didn't like it
yeah.
anymore. And that is when I
One,
strayed off to find
yeah.
something else, and that's when I
One of
found
the big
Mage.
things with that was they a a kind of spoiled a certain build of Paladin, which basically relied on word of glory
Yeah.
for healing themselves. They still gave you the option, but it pretty much killed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It used to be where I would go in as the tank, and the healer wouldn't even heal me in a dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
See,
because I kept myself healed up.
because they didn't need you. They could concentrate on the whole party almost, except for
Yeah,
you, and then it was just a complete flow through everything like that.
yeah. And now it's like I can keep myself alive and maybe at the third health out in the dungeon without a decent healer.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the DPS priest kind of thing, where they're
Yeah,
healing with damage. I really like that idea. I tried to make, I think it was in Mr. Pandara, for some reason something happened and that almost sort of made it possible to be able to do damage and heal, and I was doing that sort of successfully for a while, but it wasn't 100% working out. And then we get through WOD, and now I hear that Legion is going to actually be bringing in something else that is going to make it more accessible to actually be doing damage and
yeah.
healing, and I really like that. I want to try that.
I'm interested in seeing the Demon Hunter class. Having
Yeah.
played Diablo 3 and played a Demon Hunter, which is basically pretty much just like a hunter, I'm curious how they're gonna work that.
I was interested in playing a Demon Hunter when I first saw them, when the Legion stuff first came out. But in retrospect, there's all kinds of classes that I've never rolled anyway. Like, I've never rolled a shaman, I've never rolled a druid, I've never rolled a warlock, and warlock especially. I really should have a warlock, you know. So and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about, so it doesn't really matter if I don't roll a demon hunter,
Yeah,
because I haven't rolled plenty of classes. So I
yeah.
decided that I wasn't going to roll a demon hunter, and I'm going to fill up my extra tune slot with an off-realm 100 instead of roll a new demon hunter.
I've actually played every class, not to real high levels, to late teens, early 20s. And
Totally.
there are some I just don't find enjoyable. Shaman being a big one, the totem
Yeah.
dropping is a
I'm
pain for me.
certainly I'm certainly not into healing. I've got a couple priests. I don't enjoy healing that much, and I absolutely do not like melee. So paladins and death knights, warriors. Warrior, that's another class I've never ran. Those ones I don't prefer to run at all and wouldn't roll them at all. I much prefer, obviously, mage, hunter. I'd like to try warlock. I'm more into ranged for sure.
Yeah.
Which is possibly why I sort of like healing.
Yeah. I was really into Death Knights. I still run that at the Lich King, and mostly because I could do a blood spec and have certain moves that would allow me to help heal the entire party as I was doing DPS, and the DPS was so good I was like the top DPS all the time.
What you just said absolutely reminded me of one of the coolest YouTube videos I ever saw back in Cataclysm. This is when Cataclysm was at its peak, brand new. There was a video that came out that was called 40 DKs Do Firelands. And it was all blood DKs, and it was a beginning to end video of these 40 DKs going in when Firelands is in the top raid tier, and they burn through all of Firelands as no heals, no tanks, all blood DKs. It was awesome, and they totally pulled it off. I was impressed.
Now, I did not like shortly after that, when they turned blood into the tank.
Yeah.
And they changed things about it.
That's right.
The blood stuff.
Huh, I remember that now.
Really bad.
I got a few DKs, but just because.
Yeah.
Because they start at 55, so that's
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good right there.
One of the reasons I did it, because back then, like, our highest tunes were in the late 40s. It was maybe early 50s by about that time. So it was like, okay, we want a new tune, and we want it to be towards the end of the current content, let's just make a DK.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, those were some good days. I enjoy, I do kind of miss the social aspect of how since I came back, it's pretty much just a few stragglers of the friends and guilds I had.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't gone anywhere, so I have been able to sit back and watch what you're describing, and that's absolutely the case. I have noticed over the last 3 years that slowly but surely the friendly social aspect of WoW has kind of waned away, and all that's left, I mean, if you get in a guild nowadays, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a raiding guild.
Yeah.
And that's all they do, and nobody hardly ever talks in guild chat. It's kind of, and I'm not going to blame this on the garrisons, because it's been happening slowly over the last 3 years. But certainly, when WOD came out with the garrison idea, we were already on the path to being loners, in WoW, and that really, helped that process along the way quite a bit. Yeah, I'm not going to give up on my garrisons, though. I'm still going to use them as a personal base of operation for Legion, and then just work out of there.
Yeah, I actually was not fond of the garrisons as an expansion. It would have been fine to me as like a patch to an expansion.
Sure, yeah. It was... I tell you what, I thought WOD was better than Mr. Minerva.
Although I did like the beginning quest line to get your garrison.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fun.
It's very cool to go back to like Burning Crusades and have it be totally different.
Yeah, I totally skipped that now.
Yeah,
The whole jungle quest line. If you do that, you don't have to do that. You can skip that to the. You go to the timeless isle in that underwater cave, and you touch that blue fire, and then it ports you to Gorgrond like automatically, and then you just fly to your location and start the garrison quest line there. That's what I do that only because I've done it so many times that I kind of feel like I deserve to not have to do it. You know.
exactly. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting MMO. It's they definitely come up with some very interesting fights. The boss fights for raids. You don't you don't know how many times I've used a boss fight from now as inspiration
for D&D.
Us in D&D.
Absolutely, of course. These things go hand in hand. I would, if I were in your position, I would be drawing a lot of my inspiration from World of Warcraft. It's easy. It's kind of it creates itself in front of you almost. So yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Like I remember in Cataclysm. I don't remember what the dungeon it is. It's either Cataclysm or the very end of Lich King. And when you had to fight basically a frost dragon while icicles are coming down.
Just before that, you're going up in this little this little windy path through this ice cave, and all the icicles are coming down. And then after is that big dragon. Yeah. The Pit of Sauron, maybe. I think that was the Pit of Sauron.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something like that. I took that as inspiration for one session in which I made them climb up a mountain and pass inside of a cavern with living wind that was basically a throwing grains of metal at them, some itty bitty metal shards cutting at them, and then as they were doing that, I had a dragon coming down and breathing acid on them.
Oh.
And then they had to like fight past the shards, past the dragon to get up to this moving temple, which had an elemental in it that took them back to safety.
Nice. You never make it easy, Jarin, I tell you.
No, I try not to, but the whole inspiration was just that one fight with the dragon off of that. Yeah, I changed it up a little. But mechanics and challenges were basically the same. You had to deal with being in a small, treacherous terrain. And you had to deal with things being flung down on you. And you had to deal with the dragon.
Not my idea of a fun day, but definitely a fun campaign.
Exactly. Or a fun session.
Yes.
So it's definitely some very good inspiration for boss fights.
Definitely.
And I've even done entire campaigns based off of like zones and that. What's the one we don't like that you didn't like? The underwater
Outland?
zone.
Are we talking about WoW?
Yeah, the underwater zone.
Oh, Vashir.
Vashir. That's
Yeah,
it.
basically, yeah, I don't like. There's two reasons I don't like it, because it sucks because it's underwater and you got to swim underwater, and that makes everything slower,
Yeah.
and I don't like it because they direct you there. Like when you
Yeah.
first do Cataclysm stuff, you get directed to Vashir. I went through the entire Vashir quest line with my main because that's where they directed me to go, not knowing that you could also start in Mount Hyjah, which I ended up doing with all of my tunes after that, because the Mount Hyjah quest line, in my opinion, is way better than doing the Vashir
Yeah.
quest line. So,
But what I did with it is one of my one shots was entirely underwater. But it looked a lot better. There wasn't hindrance with movement. You could breathe underwater,
right,
stuff like that.
absolutely.
But the whole inspiration, which is kind of the route out that zone, especially some of the graphics, it's where you see the sharks swimming around,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bubbles
stuff
and
like
stuff,
that.
clamshells with bubbles coming out, and yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And so, oh, oh. Now, what one thing I also wish Blizzard would change that I really like on Star Wars: The Old Republic is they took out the little square crest boxes that gives you all the text, and they
Right.
have it scroll up like subtitles would, but they
Mm.
have audio. They have the characters that give you the quest actually speaking.
Instead of having to read the text or whatever.
Yeah, instead of having to read the text, and you can press spacebar to skip through it, uh, and then it gives you the text with a couple choices of how you would respond, and
Hmm.
then it gives you the quest based on what the choices are. I
I'm
wish WoW would do that.
yeah. I'm down for anything that is going to speed along them talking. I
Yeah,
absolutely can't stand it when I'm in the middle of a quest line and I've got to then sit and wait for this guy to give a 5-paragraph speech and 6 paragraphs of yelling before I get to complete this quest and then go on with the next quest. Anything that would allow me to skip past stuff, like with the space bar or anything,
yeah.
would be highly ideal in my opinion.
And I like the fact you can listen to it
If you
and
choose
have
to,
the
absolutely.
characters speaking, and and instead of just picking up this little text box that, let's be honest, who really has ever read those?
Not me. In fact, I there's an option in the interface that you can click that when the text box comes up, it automatically goes to the end of it. Skips
Yeah,
all like some of the quests, they have longer things and they scroll through them first.
yeah,
You do that little toggle thing and it goes right to the end every time you pop it up, and then you can just
yeah.
take the quest and go. But yeah,
I I think I read maybe two among all my time on that, and that
yeah,
was when I first started.
yeah. It's way
And
too
then
time consuming, in my
yeah,
opinion.
then it was like, okay, just close it and go, and we'll figure out where we need to go and what we need to do.
Yeah, and although I mean, I totally agree with that, and that is also how I do it. But there have been a few times where I'm in the middle of where I think I should be, and this stuff should be, and there's nothing here, and I'm like forced to go back to the quest and actually read line for line. All right, what am I missing here? And then of
Yeah,
course I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to. All right, so I should read more, but boy, I'm like,
yeah,
hurry up, let's go. I can figure this out. Let's get there.
yeah.
That's usually my ideal.
And I think a lot of players are like that.
Yeah.
So it would be awesome to have it as an audio, especially if you didn't have to stare at the NPC. Like you could start moving on and it would still play.
Interesting, yeah. That way you wouldn't be stuck there sitting listening. You could take the quest and still be continuing on and also hearing the narration. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
And they should implement that.
Yeah, I think if they did that, it would bring a lot of people, because I know a lot of people on Star Wars The Old Republic like listening to the quests instead of reading it. Although,
yeah, absolutely.
Although on Star Wars The Old Republic, you still have to stay by the NPC.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty happy with our chat so far.
Agreed.
We've covered some pretty good basics and stuff. So, if you were to give some advice to a beginning player who maybe has never played an MMO or a WoW or anything like that, what advice would you give them for starting out and maybe getting a solid foundation under them?
I think I would have to tell them to be nice to people. The number one thing, I mean, there's so many people that have genuine, legitimate questions and concerns that they might post into trade. And the response they get back, usually there's like 10 to 20% of the people with actual useful information for that person, and then another 70 to 80% of the people in trade want to troll that person, and that sucks. That really sucks. That makes for a bad game all around. I wish there were no trolls. I know that's just impossible to have, but my number one advice to a new player would be to take everything with a grain of salt and just try and be as nice as you can as often as you can, because that's just going to make it better for everybody, including themselves. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I found a lot of times, and I find this in life and other games such as D&D groups and different interactions. If you be a nice, polite, civil, people are gonna do the same for you, and if you need something, they're more likely to help you out, especially if you've helped them in the past.
Absolutely, yep.
I would also say for a new player, really, you can listen to what people will tell you or advise, such as what race or class to play, etc. But really, try it for yourself, give it an honest run through, and see what you like. Because that's the big thing is games are made to be fun. So you want to do whatever is going to bring you the most fun.
Absolutely. Everybody is going to tell you, I think this is the best way to play. I think this is the best class to play. And you might listen sometimes and you might not others. Ultimately, though, you are going to find your favorite class and your favorite style of playing. And that's the one you're going to want to stick with. Because that's the one you're going to do the best at.
And people have different styles. Like for me, I enjoy questing on that. Yes, it does get a bit tiring if you've done the same quest lines a million times.
Yes.
But that's when you go to the other faction that you've never played and you do those.
Man, don't get me started on your love of the Alliance, Jarin.
Hey, I have some
Ugh.
horde tunes.
Some Horde tunes. I know. Some Horde tunes. We
One
all
of
know where
these
your
days,
loyalties lie, and I will turn you to the dark side eventually. You just
and
wait.
one of these days, I'll get you to have a couple or alliance tunes that you actually have played a couple of the
Actually
correct
play on
lines.
instead of sitting getting mothballs or something. They're all put
Exactly.
away.
Hey, but
I
the
have an
one,
Alliance tune for comic relief, so you know.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Actually, what first got me interested in the herd was after I did PvP.
Eh,
Back when her just totally decimated Alliance and
yeah,
PvP
that was a fun
constantly.
time. That was a fun time. I like a lot. I mean, it's in my opinion that the majority of new players, they try the Alliance before they try Horde.
Yeah,
I don't even know if it's the majority, but I definitely know more people try out Alliance as new players than they do try out as Horde. I'm one of them. I was Alliance for like the first 18 months I played
yeah.
World of Warcraft, and it wasn't until I moved and was just randomly starting on a different realm somewhere, and then I learned that you could send your BOA gear cross faction all of a sudden
Yeah.
now. And I was like, well, I could send this over to, I could start a Horde tune then, I guess. And that was the day I made Psyop, and that was my first Horde. And I loved it so much, I
And
flipped
I
all
think
of my
you,
Alliance, and I
and
never
I,
looked back.
yeah, and I think your first mage as well.
Yes, and my first mage, yeah, she was
And
she was
maybe you were just the mage bit.
it. Yeah, it was all good, all good.
But yeah, I enjoy both sides. I I will say I have been enjoying the herd side. I for the questing more mostly because as I've leveled, I've done the lion side so much. I'm pretty much know all the way up to that loads
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
quest.
I noticed a bit of a personality shift between Horde and Alliance
Yeah.
people. Like when you just watch trade chat for long enough, and it's very interesting to see. It's almost like it sort of seems like the Alliance are more on the nerdy kind of side,
Yeah.
whereas a lot more of the Horde are more stoner-esque type of people.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be just a personal opinion, but that's kind of how I've noticed the general feel of things
It
over the
could be.
years.
It might also have something to do with the more casual players tend to go alliance, and the more hardcore players tend to go Horde.
Could be, could be. I don't know.
At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, have been chatting for an hour and a half, something like that. So,
Hey, you just moved your camera, and I'm just like looking at looks like your
well,
wall and a door.
yep,
Is that a door hanging on your wall? What's really going on
yes,
there?
yes, it is. It goes into a little crawl space.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
oh no, that's scary. It's like what's that witch movie where they're trying to find the witch and it's all live and they're like crying and their nose is running and
I
the
don't
Blair Witch, the Blair
remember.
Witch.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's a little door there.
And I've just got the the
Yeah,
art
abstract
studio
painting.
or whatever.
Yeah.
What's an art where they hang up art? I can't think of that for some reason. Museum? That's it. Art
Gallery.
museum. Gallery, there you go.
Yeah. Gallery. But yeah, it's been a pretty good thing. I've definitely interested in finding out a lot more tips and tricks, because I know you do really good with your professions and making gold for the amount of time you spent in playing.
Totally.
Some of which are on your videos.
Yep, I've got a few. I've got a few tricks there.
Actually, speaking of which, why don't we kind of touch real quickly on professions? What if you were gonna tell a new player, this is kind of the route out to go to make enough gold to support your career? What would be the profession combo you would pick?
I get this question a lot, which is, what's the best way to make gold in WoW? And everybody wants to know that. And, like, I could tell you...
Whatever way for you is the best way.
Well, sure. I mean, I could tell you the professions that I'm currently using and that I have recently used in the past to make lots of gold with. But the real reality of it is you need to build up toon army. I honestly believe that toon repetition is the way to easily and quickly make gold in World of Warcraft. And a good example is the top steels, the top metals that alchemists make for the expansions that are needed in all the good gear and stuff, like for instance living steel or true gold. These things when they're new in the expansion, they're very valuable, and your alchemists are limited to 1 proc a day of the spell that they use that creates that metal. So if they're going for 2,000 gold a piece, you're going to be able to make 1 of those a day with your 1 alchemist and make your 2,000 gold. But if you have 25 alchemists and they're all on the same realm because you've got 3 accounts or more running into the same realm, then you're going to be able to proc 25 of those bars a day, and you're going to be able to make 50,000 gold instead of 2,000 gold. So, and it's for nothing more than just doing that same thing more times than just the 1 per day. So honestly, the more top level tunes you have, the easier it is going to be for you to find something to make a lot of gold off of regularly.
Yeah. I would say for a new player who's just beginning out, the combination I would probably pick is skinning and mining.
Skinning and what?
Mining.
Sure, absolutely. And the ore and the skins.
Skins and
what they are bringing back in Legion that they did not have in Warlords of Draenor, and I don't remember if they did or not in Mist of Pandaria, but I know for sure they took away prospecting in Warlords of Draenor. And prospecting was very, very useful in the previous expansions, because you would get your ore and you would prospect it, and then you would get gems from that, and then you could use those gems, either sell them raw or cut them into other gems to sell, and then the remnants from the prospecting you could use in enchanting and disenchanting, creating more enchanting mats. So for me, if I was going to tell them to do something, I'd say maybe enchanting and jewelry crafting, so you could prospect all the ore, and you could create rings and necklaces and gems that people want, and disenchant the lower level rings and necklaces that you make for enchanting mats, and then use those to make the high level enchants. Those, I mean, that's if you just got 1 toon, and that's just because that's what I know best. So
yeah, there's a lot of different combos. I remember back when enchanting and tailoring were the way to go.
Yeah, and like tailoring right now is what I've been using for months and months and months. I mean, I'm selling, 70, 80 hex weave bags a week, every week for months now.
Yeah.
They still buy them. They still buy them up.
And
And
now
interestingly,
imagine,
those new hunter, the demon hunters,
yeah,
when you get a new demon hunter, they've got all 16 slot bags.
nice.
So when everybody that rolls a new demon hunter, one of the first things they're going to do is be upgrading those damn 16 slot bags.
Yeah.
So
Now,
again, yeah.
now imagine if you did that hex rebag, like used to do the net other reason. My father does the net other rebag market. If you could control it like that.
Well, you see, here's the thing. He should have advanced with every expansion. He should not be the nether weave bag guy. He should be the hex weave bag guy. If you're going to utilize any kind of influence that you think that you might have over the economy or market on a realm, you should use it to your advantage instead of cornering the market on 12 gold priced bags. Maybe corner the market on 700 gold priced bags. I don't know. I don't know.
And see that, and one of his drawbacks, and the reason he didn't do it was he had so much tied up into nethery claw.
That's ridiculous. How much can he possibly have? I mean, a guild bank full, maybe? Guild bank full, maybe.
Well, actually more than one.
Well, that's just a little crazy, isn't it? I mean, but I'm sure he's still selling them at 10 gold each. I mean, maybe even upwards of 15. I bet on a good day, he might pull in 5 or 10,000 gold. You think? Huh?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. On a good day, I pull in 35,000 gold.
Yeah. And you work a lot less hard for it than he does.
Well, yeah. I would say I probably put in about 8 to 10 hours per week. And that 8 to 10 hours, I get about...
he puts in that at least every day.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah, so see, for 10 hours a week, I'm pulling in 75.
The idea of cornering a market like that is a good idea, but you gotta know when to get out and move on to the next thing.
That is what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
He never took that hit, even though I told him, hey, you need to start doing philosophy bags. Because at the time, philosophy was the next big thing.
Or even glacier bags, for that matter. Geez, they were even bigger. Glacier bags would have been... But they were unheard of, kind of, even.
Yeah, and he just hasn't moved on. He has a steady customer base. He has guilds who buy it, tons of them, so they can outfit the entire guild with them.
With nether weave bags. That's awesome. Nice. Sure, why not? Yeah. Hell yeah.
If you're a beginning too, but...
Yeah.
Come on. I much rather sit there and have 4 bags with 700 gold and an entire tab of bags that are worth maybe 5 to 10 gold.
Yeah.
One, that frees up space for me to store other things. I don't have to watch the auction house as much, which means I'm out gathering hats.
Or doing other fun things in the game, absolutely.
Exactly. And that's one thing while I never really control the market for more than maybe a week, it's because as when I play a game, I like to try everything. I like to see what the game has to offer.
Yeah.
And then I decide what I like to do.
Thorium Brotherhood is definitely a realm where you could corner the market on something pretty easily because it's so because the population is so low. I have thought in my vast wisdom that I was going to corner the market on something, and I just mean like one item, and so I would buy it out on Area 52 and then post it at my price and then come back 2 hours later and there is a whole ton more of it now reposted, all past mine, all cheaper. And I'm just like, very, very difficult to corner the market on anything where there is just so much volume coming in.
Have some,
I would say in the billions
some
you're really going to think and not only that, and just 100% time dedicated to sitting and watching the auction house. Anytime anybody posts under you, you buy them out and repost, which becomes the game for you. That's a whole different thing.
Exactly. And that's what he's done, and that is the game for him.
Yeah,
he might read the auction house for half an hour.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Yeah. So that's definitely not my favorite way to play. I can do it maybe for a day or two, but even when I corner the market, if it's like, okay, I would go out for an hour and a half to quest or level up, then I'd put that, check the auction house.
Yeah.
I'll take care of anything that needed taken care of, then go right back out. And I just kept doing that.
Yeah.
And then I got to where I was just like, this ain't really worth it. I'll make more in the long run if I spend all my time leveling up, using my professions, and moving on.
Yeah.
And then I got into raiding, which was fun. Dungeons were fun. For a while. I got into PvP for maybe a year or so. Especially on like the 1-20 bracket for Hunter.
Yeah.
And doing worse on gold and hiding up on top of your building by your flag and just sniping whoever comes near it.
Yeah, I'm still
your pet down there.
I'm like or revered with that faction finally, and still inching closer and closer to Exalted. Those three are so long. The Arinthi Basin one and the AV, whatever that was, Arctic Valley or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh boy, one day I'll get Exalted with that.
I did enjoy the battlegrounds for a while, but eventually it got to be just like anything else. It was time to move on.
Totally.
And now it's like I've been taking a break because I basically played a month after Cataclysm came out, played a month after Mr. Pandora came out, plus the beta for testing for Mr. Pandora. And then I missed all of until recently. So it's like 2.5 expansions of pretty new content to me still.
Yeah.
Even though I've done some of the quests like once, I haven't run them through 100 times.
Yeah, I was really not very fair with Warlords of Draenor, I think is the best way to put it. With Psyop, of course, I did absolutely everything. I always do everything with her.
Yeah.
But and then the way I look at it is, okay, I've done it all now, so I don't need to do it with any of the other tunes. So then I look for the absolute quickest route to do whatever I'm doing with these other tunes that I've already completed with Psyop, which is usually just get them to max level. And so all of my tunes this time around, when I was leveling them all to 100, I used every little trick in the book. I was making sure I had all the potions, and I was only getting treasures and doing the bonus objective areas, because that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
If you have the garrison potion and just one of the auction house purchased potions that allows you to increase your EXP gains, you're good to go. You just go to every area, do all the bonus objectives, and get all the treasures, and you level right up to 100 within a few hours, really. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot quicker than it used to be leveling.
Oh, yeah. They've definitely... I mean, I understand their reasoning for it. With each new expansion that comes out, new people come into the game, and these other people have already been here for years, and they've already got all their stuff already built up, and these people want to try and at least be able to compete with some of these people at their level, and they can't because they're brand new. So this is why Blizz says that they do the things they do as far as like increasing the speed of leveling and things like that, which is like, I guess, you know.
Yeah. I think it's a system that works.
Yeah.
I do think some of it is ridiculous. Like when you first begin a new tune and you can do one quest and level.
Sure, but get that tune to level 20. Let's see how long it takes you. I bet you'll be there for a good 3 hours, even with gear, you know, even with full BOA gear, you know? Although, in retrospect, to get to level 20 in vanilla is not no 3 hour trip. It was much crazy longer than that. So, it's absolutely true. Every time leveling each expansion is
you can do it under 3 hours now if you've done the quest many times and know exactly where everything is.
That too, that really helps. That's another thing. When on the rare occasion that I decide to level a new tune from 1 up, every time now when I go through the starting areas, I will be just hunting rares, basically, you know, looking for the rare mobs, getting big giant EXP off of them, doing a few quests here and there, but up to level 20 at least, it's basically rare hunting.
Yeah, and that's one thing also, is you can take a quest and then go out rare hunting, treasure hunting.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a smart... bar none. I have done absolutely every single thing in World of Warcraft, and I think the absolute fastest method... Now, this is not including purchasing things off of the auction house, like potions, or from, say, the Dark Moon Fair, another potion, or the Top Hat, or whatever. So excluding things that you could purchase or buy that will increase your experience gains, strictly just based on game mechanics, I say completing quests is the absolute fastest way to level, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would tend to agree, although I would say, depending on your speed as a player, it could be faster killing mobs mobs in an area that you know is your
I
quest
hear.
area.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But I really think World of Warcraft years and years ago has done away with the stay in the forest and kill boars until I'm top level.
Yeah,
I mean, that does not happen anymore. I do not believe anymore you can go anywhere and grind mobs and have that be um, honestly possibly the worst way to get experience gains. Now,
yeah.
it used to be
I wouldn't say
different.
it's the only way, because I still do the same, but I complete quests while I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would, to be honest, I wish there was an old school EXP gains way off of mob killing because I prefer to just. I would like to be able to go and just mass kill these specific group of mobs and level up that way. Um,
I
you know,
I still
aside of course from
I
power
still
leveling,
do. That's
because power leveling
that's what
absolutely.
yeah,
You know.
that's why I'm doing it. It's my paladin that I'm looking at. Is I go out, kill mobs, complete quests while I'm killing them. Once every hour or so, I go to turn in the quests that I complete. And it's fun. It seems to be faster for me than doing the quests. Only
You should.
because I'm at
This
the,
is a really interesting topic. This is what I
yeah,
think you should do. I think you should do a whole series of videos on this topic. I think you should have two tunes, and I think you should regimentally stick
yeah,
to. I'm not going to grind any tune, or I'm not going to grind any mobs on this. I'm just going to kill mobs as I need to, as I come across them when doing quests, and do quests only, and then do the other version and see for yourself which one
yeah.
flows faster for
I
you.
I
Because that
think
sounds like legitimate. I'm
yeah.
interested to see what that would be.
I think the main reason it's faster for me on mobs is because as with that particular tune, I'm doing the Givison quest, and 90% of those I've never done.
Oh, absolutely. So you're absolutely. So you're saying like the time in which it takes you to go through and figure out each quest is going to be a huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
I think that's the biggest reason it's faster to just kill the mobs in an area that I think is a quest area, and then if I happen to complete quests as a while later, go back,
Yeah.
back, back.
Did you ever see the South Park episode called "Make Love Not Warcraft"?
Yes, actually, I did. I watched
Oh,
that intentionally because it had to do with the vow.
yeah. I thought that was so hilarious. I love that episode. It was very good. It
I
was cool.
think it was the best episode they ever did.
I wish they would make another World of Warcraft related one. They made one for Magic the Gathering. It was not as cool as the World of Warcraft one though.
But uh, yeah, so I definitely think it's definitely gonna keep its hold as one of the top, if not the top MMO for
Yeah,
quite some time to come.
I can't really think of. I mean, how long ago did Star Wars: The Old Republic? That was like
Couple
3 years,
years,
2, 3 years ago.
yeah.
I remember when that first came on the scene, and everybody was sure that was going to be the end of WoW.
Yeah.
And
No,
well, I of course I was not one of those people that believed that. But if anything was going to kill the WoW franchise, it had
I
to
would,
have been Star Wars for
yeah,
crying out
I
loud.
would think it would be Star Wars.
So if Star Wars can't take down WoW, who the fuck is? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Who the hell is? You know?
Now, I can tell you who will do it if Blizzard doesn't do it first.
That's a very good point. I think the only one that would be able to beat WoW would be Blizzard. You know, it
Uh,
would take them to to destroy themselves, and
Whatever company comes out with a virtual reality that looks basically just like the Star Trek holodeck,
that will
what,
definitely be the winner.
whatever MMO gets hold of that first will kill all the other MMOs.
I agree. I absolutely agree. That it would have to be that level, pretty much. But yeah, it would absolutely,
I
hands
mean,
down.
just thinking at it from a D&D perspective, can you picture going in and to a simulated area that looks, feels, smells, tastes totally real, and facing off against some of these things you face in the games?
Yeah, and I don't even think it would end up being. It wouldn't even be video game based. That wouldn't even be the main application, or that would maybe be the original application for it.
Yeah.
But it would grow far beyond video game ramifications to where it
Oh,
was just
really?
people indulging in their personal fantasies, whatever they may be, creating their own world, within that holodeck, just like
Exactly.
they do on Star Trek and stuff.
And just like they do in D&D,
Absolutely. Yeah,
another RPG
absolutely.
at the time. That's one of the draws of tabletop RPGs over MMOs, is you create your own stuff given a system.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
could you imagine if you took just the bare system about not the rule, but the bases, the classes, and they said, here's how the mechanics work. Now go create your own place.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would try. That's for darn sure.
And that's where I think we have a big crossover among gamers, especially people who play the fantasy MMOs like WoW, and then gamers who play the tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
It's because of that kind of connection with the story, with the world.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely, when you're creating it yourself, you're going to be doing all those things. Like, if it's like saying, if Blizzard put you and me in charge of World of Warcraft, we would change it and we would do everything that we thought would be best about WoW.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Creating
Yeah.
doing what you think is best, creating your world.
And what's nice with tabletop RPGs is you have your group of players. It's your 4 or 5 players, your DM, and it works for you. That group may not ever play the same role or the same kind of setting that another group plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas in video games, they kind of tell you what everything looks like by giving you the graphics. They give you the world. These places are set. Everyone experiences them pretty much the same, unless you're phased into a different step of the game, or a different faction might have something slightly different.
Yep, yep.
But that's not to say one's any better than the other. They both have their spots.
Absolutely. I think the WoW creator would be good though.
Yeah.
I want to try that system.
I would love that. if they did that. And other MMOs have had a lot of success in adding like what they call a foundry a type system where you can make like a quest line and they give you little bits and pieces that you can drag and drop in like NPCs like an elf running, and you can type your name, type your text, etc.
Yeah.
Big one that comes to mind is Neverwinter's Night 2, which is a D&D type game that has a foundry system. And they have some really interesting quests. Now, the drawback is the person who makes the quest line doesn't determine the rewards for it. So you might get a very hard quest line and a piece of junk for a reward.
That would suck.
Which does suck when that happens. And you can only have so many of those type of quests at one time, and they take away from the good content that the original producers first put out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the original producers haven't put out new expansions every year. They occasionally 2 or 3 times a year put out major content updates.
That seems
which is basically a big patch, which in most MMOs, a big patch is maybe 1/10 to 1/5 of what WoW does in an expansion.
Yeah.
So, but I think WoW's gonna be around pretty much till virtual reality hits it, and maybe even longer if they're the ones who get hold of it.
Absolutely, if they're the ones that created, absolutely. That is going to be the next big thing. I mean, they're putting them on their phones now. You've seen those where they put those weird things. They put their phone inside it and then they wear it on their face. I mean, these are all the little baby steps to those things.
Yeah, and they do have people or researchers like over in Germany working on full body suits that respond to muscle contraction, and which would be induced.
Japan is really leading the way in that kind of stuff. Yeah. I've seen stuff recently specifically about that.
Yeah. And I think that's actually where Blizzard would be smart to team up with a Japanese tech firm to develop something like that for a WoW and the few other games that Blizzard does. And, and that is another thing I find Blizzard is really smart on. They have, 5 games? And that's basically all they've had since they started.
I don't know. I don't know any other Blizzard games.
Let's see. Overwatch,
Hearthstone,
StarCraft,
Heroes of the Storm,
and Diablo. So 5.
And
now the main 2, obviously, is World of Warcraft, and I think Hearthstone's pretty much taken the second place on
Oh,
it.
absolutely. In fact, my cousin Sean, I got him into um, Magic the Gathering many years ago, and I played for many years, and then I got out to start playing World of Warcraft, and he still plays Magic the Gathering to this day. And we had a talk a few weeks back about Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, and I felt like Hearthstone had surpassed Magic the Gathering because the last 4 or 5 years that I've noticed of Magic, they changed a lot of their stuff when they sold out to the I think it was Kenner. I'm not sure the toy company that bought them out, but when they got bought out, they changed a lot of their format style and a lot of their wording, and I felt like it was not a good direction for Magic to go. And anyways, what he does on occasion is we'll talk about Magic, and he'll always try and get me back into Magic. You should play Magic. And I'm like, no. And lately, I've been trying to get him into Hearthstone. I'm like, you should play Hearthstone. You should play Hearthstone. And he's like, Hearthstone, Magic is better than Hearthstone. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Hearthstone's better than Magic right now. And I bet more people play Hearthstone right now than play Magic, because over the years I know Magic has been declining in its player base. So I went online just to see, and it turns out that currently, when I was looking, which was about 3 weeks ago, Magic players worldwide were at about 9 million. Hearthstone players worldwide at about 11 million. So,
So a bit more. Now, I think there's one very good reason for that. Tell me, it is, do you know of any Magic the Gathering online?
Yes, they have it. They've had it for several years. Yep.
Hey.
The problem is they don't have the kind of advertising that Blizzard has, though.
The only time, it's been several years since I've looked for it, but the only time I found it was a demo.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I remember that.
And it wasn't even a demo of an online version. It was a demo of a tutorial on how to play.
Oh, God. Yeah. Not fun.
Yeah. So it was like not fun, and it's really become the age. If you want something to be successful, it has to have an online presence.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and with a built-in a player base that Blizzard has, all they do is come up with some new game and stick it in our face for 6 months and make millions of dollars off it. Like Overwatch. Today they're cashing in on another one just like that, Overwatch, in my opinion, is crap. I will not ever play that game. It looks like a cartoon version of Halo, and I didn't like Halo to begin with either, so it's not anything that interests me. But boy, they're going to make a ton of money off it today,
Now there are some things I do like in other MMOs. One of them being Atlantica Online. One of the concepts.
Wait, that's the one that has the billion trillion gold market, right?
Yes.
That is a ridiculous game.
That actually was not what I really liked the best about it when I first started. It was the fact instead of one character, you had you and 8 mercenaries.
Oh, so it was sort of like an old school Final Fantasy weird thing where you've got a row of guys. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was like that.
And I loved that feel because it brought back all of those turn-based.
Yeah, the old school Dragon Warrior. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many years of my life got sucked into that Nintendo playing Dragon Warrior or Final Fantasy. Holy moly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved that, especially in an MMO feeling,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
each player has that, and you're competing not just against mobs, but players.
Well, so then what about Final Fantasy Online?
I have played it 14 for the
Hmm.
2 week trial.
Was it everything that you dreamed of all the years you were playing Final Fantasy on consoles?
I I love of of the graphics. I love some of the special effects.
Yeah.
The thing I did not like, I I and it's a shame to say this, is I did not like two major things about it. The character could be any class and profession. You you could interchange them whenever you wanted to make that make it to the and you only needed one tune,
Right.
so you played through it once. The other thing I did not like about it was I did not like the MMO feeling on it. Final Fantasy to me, because of growing up when it was nothing but a console game, it was meant to be a solo game.
Interesting.
Now, with that said, I love the graphics, I love the quests. I've had a lot of fun
And
playing it.
again, if something was going to be grand enough to possibly dethrone WoW, maybe it would have been Final Fantasy, if not Star Wars, right? But
Yeah,
even a huge franchise like Final Fantasy, who's been around longer, even they
exactly.
even they couldn't do it. So yeah,
And, and I think the big key is for Blizzard is the expansions, the constant new content that is basically a whole new game tacked on to what they've already done. And they keep it consistent with the lore uh,
yeah,
and kind of the feeling of the game.
yep.
So I think that was just really well done on their parts. So, well, we have been chatting way longer than I thought we would. And it's been like almost 2.5 hours. So,
Holy moly, I didn't realize it was that long either.
yeah. Well, it's definitely given us a pretty good introduction and video to have some of my viewers who have never played MMOs
Yeah.
maybe think about checking out the demos, etc.
Well, absolutely. If you've never played an MMO and you're gonna check out the demos, I would say try World of Warcraft.
Exactly. And with and now that they have the WoW tokens and that you can buy for gold to get game time, there's really no reason not to check it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, with that being said, I appreciate having you with me. Hey, and I hope our viewers enjoyed the video. And until next time, may the dice always roll in your favor.